Approach, prisoner.
After spending more than 80 hours in Dune Awakening, I'm here to give you the best start for your game with a step-by-step guide for the most efficient way to spend your first few hours on Arrakis. I'll help you avoid silly mistakes that can waste a lot of your time and point out things you cannot afford to miss. Let's get into it. The first trap here is your class selection. Some choices here can lead you to a suboptimal start. Classes in this game are not exclusive. You'll eventually run into class trainers that will unlock each class skill tree for you. But some of those you meet earlier and some later. So obviously it's not ideal to pick your class to be one of the ones you meet very early in the game. In this starting zone, we will be unlocking the Trooper and the Planetologist. And my recommendation here is to start with the Mentat or the Bene Gesserit. I picked the Bene Gesserit because it has a good starting skill that lets me run fast. And traversal on foot is dangerous in this game. And it also has a few healing passives. As you go, it's a no-brainer that you need to collect all the things that you can find. And also watch your inventory space too, as you're limited by the number of slots and the weight of things, which is this bar on the left. Stick to the shade and stay hydrated, but we're going to make all those annoyances more forgiving and convenient soon. Also, throughout this whole process, you need to make sure you collect all the intel in this map. So when you're near a settlement that has this indicator on it, make sure you grab it. It should look like this. This is the currency we need to research all the schematics we find. So you need all the points you can get here. In one of the earliest stations you'll come across, the Broken Stone Station, right here on the map. If you go up the first stairs, and in this room, you will find a schematic for a pretty good weapon. You can craft it soon, which will be really OP this early. You always need to follow the purple objective here, which is the main story, and it will soon lead you to build your first base. And the first advice here is not to go full Sims on this. This is a temp base. You don't need to invest too much in it. This is just a starting zone. You need this purely for function and progress, till you move on from this zone. So build a whatever box and install the minimum amount of structures needed as the main story objective tells you to. If you look at this starting map, those locations are going to be the main activity locations for everything we need to do here. So it's probably best to make sure your base is somewhere around this area. As soon as the main objective tells you to craft a survey kit, which is a probe and a survey drone, you need to do that ASAP. This will unlock the whole map of this area and mark all the points of interest for you. You will just need to go up to a high location and shoot this up in the air.
I'm going to the Griffin's Reach trade post. Come and find me there. Just remember to be careful crossing the sands.
The main objective will lead you to Griffin's Reach trade post. It's going to be here on the map, and you need to head there right away, because there we will start our first new class unlock mission, plus we'll get a load of contracts that are going to be very rewarding. First thing to do is talk to the vendor and buy the Liturgon schematic. It will be very useful soon, as we'll be stocking up on water, and this carries quite a bit. The main objective even tells you to buy it. Then go to this contract board and do everything you can find in it. You'll come back here a few times. Every time you do, check this board and do the contracts. They will tend to require things you'll already have or can find along the way while doing the rest of the activities. And they reward you with a good variety of rewards, especially the bike contract, which will reward you with some must-have rewards that you should not miss. We'll get to this a bit later in the video. And before we go, the last thing we need to do here is talk to the trainer of the first new class we can unlock, the Trooper. Start the dialogue to learn from him, and he will give you a contract to assassinate some named guys. Your next stop is here on top of the Imperial testing station. Right here on the map, if you go up, you can find Derek, who is the second class trainer. He's the Planetologist. That class tree has so many good passives, which I'll show you in a second. Take the quest from him, and he will ask you to find some secret goodies that are found in the station below, which we will go to next. Before you go in there, this is very important. Make sure your inventory is clear. At this point in the game, nearly everything you can find here, you cannot afford to drop or discard. I cannot stress this enough. Explore every corner and loot everything here. you will find crafting materials you need for your bike and some secret items for later contracts. The place isn't really a maze or too big, just make sure you clean it up. In the last room, you will find the spice-infused copper, which we will need for crafting. Anything with this type of effect on its icon is spice-infused. If you ever want to drop stuff to empty your inventory, never ever drop these. We will also find this lovely schematic, which will let us create the Emperor's Wings, which is a belt that will let you levitate when you double jump and hold the spacebar, and it will consume power. But this will save you from fall damage. Also, with the Trooper skill we will get soon, Traversal will be so much safer, faster, and cooler. We'll see that in a bit. One thing to note about uniques, the fact that you found a schematic doesn't mean you can keep crafting them. You need to keep finding schematics, and those will give you permits to craft as many more as you find. If you go to the Uniques tab here, you can see this number is how many schematics I researched of each item and can craft. Here, for example, I can craft 1 Way of the Fallen and 0 Emperor's Wings. If I go to the fabricator, I have all the materials, but it says 0 here, and it says no permits. You will also find sandbike parts here that you will need for the contract I mentioned earlier. This saves you having to craft them, as you will deliver those parts, but you also need to craft them for your own bike. So that's a nice shortcut. Before we leave this area, do not forget the main objective here, which is the Planetologist quest. Here, if you go back to this place, you will see this yellow light, and that's a secret door. You can interact with it and get into this hidden room and loot all the goodies inside, and in here you will find the testing records he asked for. You go back up to him, deliver the goodies, and he will unlock this new tree for you. Like I mentioned, this tree is awesome, and all the abilities in this tree are actual passives. You don't need to have them in technique slot or anything. A quick read for the skill trees here. Squares are active abilities, octagonals are techniques which are passive but you have to equip them, and circles are just passives that work once you spend the points. And as you can see, this tree is nearly all passives. This one reduces maximum durability loss for your vehicle. This one yields more when you mine, better power regen, better water yield, even more yield for mining, maximum power increase, really awesome skill tree. Depending on the order of activities, and if you looted everything as I mentioned, you should be able to craft your first bike. There are 2 things you need to research, which are those 2, the bike and the essential companion to it, the backup tool. You also should by now have researched the fabricator and have one in your base. And when you go to it, you go to this tab and you can craft your bike parts and the backup tool. Normally you have to park your bike in a safe place, as sandstorms can destroy it, so it's always dangerous to leave it out for long. But with the backup tool, you can magically suck up the bike in your inventory or spit it out whenever you like. The backup tool, like many other schematics, requires you to have spent a certain amount of research points before you can learn it, 19 in this case. You can craft an inventory for extra storage on your bike, but it's a waste to craft it, so don't do that, as you will be getting a newer version of this storage very soon. Also, if your bike is storing items, you cannot suck it in with a backup tool. You need to craft welding wire and torch, as those are the tools to craft and repair the bike. You need a PSU and 3 treads. You need the engine, chassis, and hull. As you can see, those require servox, which we found in the testing station earlier, and some copper ingots, which you can easily make. You should have a ton of copper by now, and you can install the ore refinery to convert copper to ingots. A nice quality of life here, you don't need to loot those ingots as the fabricator has access to them already. You can see here I left them, and if I go to the fabricator, it can see the ingot count increasing, and once the required amount is ready, it can use it to craft what we want. Now you need to equip the torch and craft your bike. Last thing you need is fuel for the bike, which means you will need to craft a small chemical refinery. And once it's installed and ready, you can use it to create vehicle fuel. As I mentioned earlier, you should be collecting fuel cells whenever you find them, so you should have plenty. And now, you got your fuel ready for your bike. Hold F for more, and select Refuel, and now your bike is filled up and ready. If you equip your backup tool, you can aim it at your bike and poof, it's in your bag. Poof again, and it's out. Your next stop after this will be the shipwreck. This is a fat loot location, and it's not that deep or big. Kill the enemies in this area, and remember you'll need to use your cutter to access some rooms here. And near the end, you will find this fancy chest with this awesome blade schematic in it, Caliph's Drinker. It's the highest damage knife you will find this early, plus it also siphons blood when you hit enemies with it, so it fills your blood sacks quickly and saves you the time of manual filling. There's a dodgy objective here for one of your contracts, where you need to find Holtzman's amplifier. This confused me for a bit, but it's actually here in this box at the back. Now back to the Trooper mission. Those are just assassination missions. The 3 targets are going to be here, in those caves at the eastern part of the map. Kill each one of them, they're not too special anyway, and then go back to the Trooper at the trade post. Tell him his vengeance is complete, and now you have the 3rd skill tree open. This one has quite a bunch of active abilities and techniques, but once you get it, you have access to this nice grappling hook, which combined with the belt we found earlier, makes traversal, especially vertically, so much better. As you can see here. You can fly up vertically, or fall without damage. Deliver any leftover contracts to the board, and the most important one here is the bike building one, as it will reward you with bike inventory and booster level 2. Those are exclusive, so you can either have the storage or the booster equipped on your bike. And the final reward here is Sim's Cutter. This is the upgraded cutter tool that will both yield more materials for the ones you already can cut, and will allow you to scan and cut the new material, which is iron, that you will find in the next zone. The last step in this zone, which might be confusing, is when the objective tells you to reach a settlement. The marker will point to the trading post, but it's not really clear what to do. What you actually need to do here is talk to the pilot, and even though it's expensive, you need to ask her to fly you to Arrakis. And that is the most efficient start for your game. Now let me know in the comments if you did this differently and how. I hope you found this guide helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.